Hi, I'm Kerry, back again from Best of Us in Retirement. I got to thinking about when I retired. That was back in 2005, and the decisions that I had to make. And one of them that was really irreversible was my Social Security. I chose to take my Social Security at 62. Once I did that, it was an irreversible decision. I then, a year later, chose to take Nita's Social Security at 62. So once again, we made an irreversible decision. And I asked myself, I wonder if I made the right decision. Now, I'm a retired financial advisor, and you would think that I would have knowledge of this, and there would be some set rule that would help me plug A, B, C, and D together and create a formula and make the decision for me. Well, there isn't, at least not that I'm aware of. So I thought, well, let's look into it and see if maybe you can help some other people make a better decision than you did based upon fact. Now, if you've been to my channel, you know I like Excel spreadsheets. I just think there is magic that can happen if you can figure out how to use and how to create an Excel spreadsheet. So I thought, well, why don't we approach it strictly from an investment point of view? And that is to say, what if I took the flow of money from the federal government at 62 and invested it, rather than spent it, and invested it for the next 20 years, 30 years? What would the results be? What if I then waited and didn't take it till 65 and took the increased amount and did the same thing, and then do it again at 66 and then at 70, and then look at it and say, okay, what are the consequences of me making each decision strictly from a financial point of view, as well as to say, yeah, but what if I died at this point? What would have been the comparison of taking it at 62 or taking it at 70 if I died at 88? What would be the difference? Now, with that kind of information, I thought, wow, I could have made a much better decision. Then I got to thinking, all right, so how do I determine how I would have invested it? Again, this is purely a financial decision. And I said, why don't I go back and start at 2020? And say that would be 20 years. And say, okay, if I went back 20 years and I invested every dollar that Social Security sent me at these four different points of 62, 65, 66, and 70, if I invested it all in nothing but the S&P 500, okay, what would have happened? What would have happened? And so I did some research and found out what the return was in the S&P 500 from 2020 from 2000 to 2020. And I use a graph. I do a lot of graphing over on our charting, I guess they call it, over on Best of Us Investors. And then I said, okay, what if instead I just went back 10 years? And what I found was the return in the S&P 500 over 20 years was about 5.9%. But if it had been over the last 10 years, it would have been 13.9%. Well, now that captivated my interest even more. What would I have accumulated over the last 20 years, and what would I have accumulated over the last 10 years? And then, as I was looking at the numbers, the question kept coming up, wow, yeah, but what if you had died? What if you had died before 70 and you took nothing? What was the financial consequences of that decision? Now, I think that's how you should make decisions. I really do. I don't think you just go ask somebody and say, hey, what's been your experience? Ask your brother-in-law. Yeah, ask him. What did you do? Why did you do it? No, let's put it down in numbers and let's make a good financial decision. Okay, so let me take you over here to my computer. Okay, this is the Excel spreadsheet that I wanted to share with you and give you some insight as to how I think you should make the decision whether you take your Social Security at either 62, 65, 66, or 70, which is best for you. So what I did was I went to Google and I found a Social Security calculator, and it asked me to put in my birth date. I put it in as if I was going to be 62 in January of 2021, and it gave me a monthly payout of $1,157. And then I said, okay, what if I took it at 65? And they said, then your payout is going to be $1,500 a month. And then I asked, what about at 67? And they said it would be $1,635. And then if I waited to 70, it would be $2,270. Okay, so as you can see, it scales up with each year that you delay. Then what I did was I entered an inflation rate of 2%, and I increased that payment each year at a rate of 2%. And as you can see, I took it down until I was 95. And then I did the same thing for each 65, 66, and 70. Then what I did was say, okay, so since I'm only looking at this from a financial point of view, I'm going to say that I take the money, the $13,884, and I invest it in the S&P 500. And that's what this chart is here. And here you can see I chart this to give me an understanding of how the S&P 500 moves, and we come back to 2000, and 2000 was the dot-com bubble. But we did it in January 2000, so we started investing to get our return number on January 1st of 2000. And what it says is the S&P grew from 2000 to 2020 at a rate of compounded rate of 5.9%. So what that does is that inflates my savings from 13,000, then I got another 14,000, but I got a 5.9% return on it. And that's how this number grows. Then I did the exact same thing for the 65 subscription, the 66, and the 70. And then so again, you can get a financial relevance. And as you can see, if we go to 82, I would have almost $647,000. If though I had waited and held back for 3 years, I'd have 636. I'd actually have less, even though my payout was greater. If I'd waited till another year, I'd even have less. And the actual, if you waited to 70, you'd have substantially less. As you see here, 647 compared to 568. Interesting. Then what I said, what if I took it at 62 and I died on my 70th birthday and never got to collect anything? How much would I have lost? Would have lost almost $171,000. Helps make a decision. Where does waiting start to pay off? Strictly from an investment point of view. And that's what I did in yellow. And if I'd waited to 65 rather than taking 62, I'd have been better off financially at 85. Then taking that further, if I'd waited from 65 to 66, I'd have been better off at 87. And then if I'd waited, what a lot of people tell you to do is wait and take it when you're 70. you better live till you're, according to my calculations, until you're 91 years old. Is that right? In order to break even, to come out ahead. So, and then it just kept coming back to me. What if you died before you ever took it? You lose big time. You lose big time. Then what I went down and said, okay, you live till you're 95 years of age. You'd come out ahead if you waited till 70. You'd have 1.93 million as opposed to 1.8 million. Is it worth that extra $131,000 to take the risk? Now again, you got to come into your health. Then the interesting thing, and this is just mind play, what if we achieved the 10-year return of 13.9%? What would the difference have been? Look if I achieved the 13.9% that the S&P has gotten between 2010 and 2020, and I'll explain to you how that happened. I'd have at 95, I'd had $9.5 million, and yet I'd have less if I waited till 70. Wow, that's shocking. That's really mind-blowing. So what I draw from that, if I think this growth pattern of the S&P 500 is going to continue on this 13%, 14% growth rate as opposed to the 5%, if I believe that, that's a no-brainer. You take that money as quick as you can and let it compound as much as you can. Now, do I believe it will continue at that? I just did a video for the retirement channel. That's a whole nother hour's conversation. This spike, if you will, in the S&P is driven by this number, the amount of our debt. Our corporate debt from 2008, well, from 2000 went from $4 trillion, not our corporate debt, our national debt, from 4 trillion to 28 trillion. Where did all that money go? It went into the stock market. Now the question is, are they going to keep up that pace? If they keep up that pace, you need to be in the S&P 500 with every dollar you can get. On the other hand, if they don't keep up that pace, well, we may be handed our lunch. So that's just a little sidebar. That's my chart. I think it's cool, and I hope it helps you. So let's discuss it a little bit further. Okay, that was my chart. What I would suggest is, if you like this chart, just go back and bring up the computer on your computer screen where it was showing in full, and push up on your top row of your keyboard. There's a little thing that says print screen, and print that screen, and then right click and click print. And your computer should print you this screen or print you this chart, and you can blow it up as you wish, and you can study it, and then you can go to a cocktail party with it and share your wealth of knowledge on making this critical decision. Now, the other thing that I think I want you to really concentrate on here is life expectancy. Life expectancy is real important. So know how long your grandfather lived, and know how long your grandmother lived, and your parents, and then your health. If there's two things that really weigh into this, in addition to the financial end of it, it's how long you're going to live. Because once you die, the contract's over. Yeah, if husband dies or primary breadwinner dies first, the secondary breadwinner gets their payout, but they don't get both of them. They get the biggest of the two. So these are things that come into it. But from my point of view, being a financial advisor, I require the knowledge of, if I invest it, and again, I believe I can outdo the 5.9 or the 13.9. And if you want to learn more about that, come to my other channel, Best of Us Investors, just by investing in the things that are going to change the world you live in. Now, is it going to be a straight line up? No. No, it's right now, today, the stock market is playing some games with us because there are some issues that are coming forward, such as increasing interest rates, a pullback from the Fed in buying securities, and then there's a whole big China issue. That, again, if you want to learn about that, go to Best of Us Investors. But what I want to do is help you make a better decision, particularly if you're going to be retiring in the next couple years or this year. Should I take it at 62? Should I take it early? Okay, I hope this helps you. If it does, give it a thumbs up. If you like this sort of stuff, subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be notified, and ring that bell. That way you'll be notified every time I make another video. And hopefully, and that's my objective, hopefully you can make better financial decisions and better retirement decisions. Nita and I have been at this since 2005, and I think I've got a pretty good handle on it, and I just want to share it with you. All right, been fun talking, and when I come up with another spreadsheet, I'll share it with you.